So, have you ever heard of Louis Farakhan? Louis Farakhan. If you've never heard of him, I suggest you go check him out. I think he's a very interesting figure. If you one of those guys that's like to think, you want information, so you can pull your own conclusions, you need to find out about this man. He's not active on the internet anymore. He's been blocked everywhere. Blocked on Instagram, blocked on Facebook, blocked on YouTube, blocked everywhere. You know, when somebody's blocked everywhere, there's probably a reason why he's blocked. So go find out. But there's a speech he made that's very, very interesting about Muhammad Gaddafi. Let's watch.
Know that man had no debt. Everything in his country was paid for. See, now when you got a man that did that for an African nation and was trying to do that for all Africa, how do you think Europe felt about that? Why do you think they killed him? You think they killed him because he killed his people?
Okay, quick break. Louis Farakhan talking about Muhammad Gaddafi. I'm sure you heard of Muhammad Gaddafi, and most likely you heard of him under the brackets of a dictator, a bad man, doing bad things to his own people, mistreating people and all that stuff. And I'm not saying he never did anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is everybody on the spectrum of human being has positive and negative. But usually people attach themselves to whatever side they are, depending on how they want to feel about them. So if the person is a good person and you have good communication with him and you like him, you want to attach to the positive side of him. If for whatever reason you don't like the person, well, you're going to portray him as the other side of his behavior, right? So let's listen.
Because he killed his people? Hell no. They killed him because, listen to me real good. You touched my nerve with that question. Did you know that in Libya, nobody's homeless?
Nobody was homeless in Libya. Nobody. Muhammad Gaddafi, for those of you who have not caught up yet, is a former president of Libya. Here is a picture of him. Very interesting person. Great person. Absolutely great person. He fought very hard for the freedom of Africans. He wanted to free Africa. He wanted Africa to be independent from the world, whatever. World, you know what it is. Libya had so much money that Libya had no debt from World Bank. If you don't know what is World Bank usually lends money to countries. Let's say you have no money. You go to World Bank, say, hey, I want to build schools and hospitals and roads for my country. World Bank will say, okay, let's evaluate your country. Are you democratic? Are you living by the rules that we set? Are you allowing daddy and daddies? And you know what I mean? Are you... Okay, if you are living by those rules, we're going to give you some money. We're going to give you, let's say, $100. You're going to reimburse $200 or maybe $500, depending on how you treat it. Let's jump to conclusion. Gaddafi was not part of that because he had enough money. His country had so much oil, he didn't need to go ask and beg money from World Bank to build this country. His people lived peacefully. Gaddafi had so much money, nobody paid tax in his country. Gaddafi or Libya had so much money that they paid the debt of a few African countries from World Bank and freed them, and nobody wanted that. I'm not going to stop you anymore. Let's go.
Listen, everybody in Libya has either a home or an apartment. They call it a flat. Did you know education in Libya is free? From kindergarten through college? And did you know that if a Libyan wanted to come to America to be educated, the government in Libya paid for their education? Did you know that?
Did you hear that? So if a Libyan wanted to go study anywhere in the world, Libya will free up money for him to travel, to go and be educated. They're going to pay for the fees. They're going to pay for the studies. They're going to pay for the visit of his family to go and see him, to encourage him for free. Unbelievable.
I was there when he opened a $500 million hospital with 18 theaters for operation. I was there, and we went when he was making their own medicines.
They were making their own medicine. Did you hear that? They were making their own medicine. Do you think they like that? Huh.
See, this was a man that gave free medical attention to all the citizens of Libya. And if Libya did not offer that kind of medical attention, they could fly anywhere in the world and get it.
Did you hear that? They offered all sort of medicine, and if Libya could not offer you the treatment that you needed for whatever situation you were going through, they were going to fly you wherever you needed in the world to go treated.
I came here with my daughter for treatment. The Libyan government is supposedly paying for it.
And the Libyan government would pay for it. Did you know that? No, you didn't.
All you heard was, this is a dictator. Yeah, that's all you heard, right? An evil man from a crazy horse who want to finish his own people.
Colonel Gaddafi needs to step down from power and leave. There is a danger of a stalemate that over time could be bloody. What I want to make sure of is that the United States has full capacity to act potentially rapidly.
That's all you heard. That's all you heard. From which channel again? Okay.
Did you know that from the oil money, every Libyan citizen got a stipend?
Did you hear that? From the oil money of Libya, every citizen got a piece. So the country is so rich in oil. They sell oil all over the world. And from each ounce of oil sold, a Libyan citizen will get something from it. So everybody benefits from it. Not just government, not just private entities, not just private investors. That's what capitalism brings to you. And they want to make you believe that capitalism is the best thing, and whatever Gaddafi or whatever you want to call it, democracy is the best thing ever. And what Libya was doing was dictatorship, and it was evil.
Every year. And did you know that that man had no debt? Everything in his country was paid for.
Everything in his country was paid for. Fellas, they want you to be indebted. Okay, I was in a country where I never really had debt. Let me just give you an example. I didn't borrow from the bank. I didn't ask anything from the bank. They didn't like it. Even though I had a lot of money in my bank account, when I wanted to ask for a cell phone on credit, they refused me. They say I have no credit history. Even though the money I had in my bank account could buy perhaps 20 cars. I'm just being honest with you. The money that was in my bank account at the time could buy 20 cars cash. Yeah. They refused to give me a cell phone on credit because I was not on the system. Do you understand that? So they want you in debt. They want every single country in the world in debt. You should be begging for money. You should be asking for help. You should be paying your debt, even though it's impossible. But Libya beat the rules. They don't want you to be a free thinker, free person, debt-free. You paid your house, your cars are paid for. They don't want you to be like that. And one of the reasons why they didn't like Gaddafi, because his country was completely free. And he was working very hard to get other African countries to be free too.
See, now when you got a man that did that for an African nation and was trying to do that for all Africa, how do you think Europe felt about that? Well, I was with Muammar Gaddafi.
Fellas, this is just a very small part of the entirety of the story of Muammar Gaddafi. He was not a democracy, surely. Okay, but who says democracy is the only way of living life, or having a beautiful life? These people were certainly not a democracy, but they were okay. They had no issue with hospitals. You could go to hospital for free, no paying hospital bills like you do pay in some countries I'm not going to name. There was no debt. No debt, zero. Every time somebody needed money, it came from the government. You could get free money from the government. If you go to study, you get study for free. Primary school, high school, university for free. Unlike some countries I know here, they have to prepay their money for 10 years after university. If you needed to go study something special, you could go anywhere in the world and the government will pay for it. If you got married to a woman and you had children, government will give you an apartment for free. There was no homeless. No homelessness. No people in one of the rich country in the world with no homeless. They make sure the money trickles to everybody. If you needed to do farming, they will get you an instructor to train you to become a good farmer. And whatever you make is your money. You can start paying back when you want. That was Libya, fellas, with Gaddafi. Gaddafi was the president that did the biggest irrigation program in the world. Irrigation means bringing water from the sea. Libya was relatively a dry country. There was no water, no sea, no rivers. Gaddafi brought water from the sea into the country to change the climate, to allow things to breathe, to allow agriculture to prosper. That was the man. They didn't like him because he was waking up other African presidents into thinking, how come you as a nation, you have all the minerals in the world? You've got gold, diamond, lithium, manganese, everything, but you're the poorest in the world. How does that even make sense? He came up with an idea saying, how about we stop using this paper money that's meaningless? Who came up with this? Not Africans. How about we start using actual minerals as currency? Let's create money called the dinar. It's going to be based on gold. And let's see who's real poor. Oh, they didn't like it on the other side because they knew the result of that. That would have meant that the country with the most gold would have been the richest country in the world. And the countries with the least minerals would clearly be the poorest. That's Gaddafi for you. Thank you very much, fellas. I mean, if you've never heard of this man, Louis Farakhan, I think you need to research him, find out a little bit more. He's spoken about many subjects. I do not necessarily agree on every single subject he says, but I think he has very good, very interesting points. You could certainly pull out some good points for yourself. God bless.